Welcome back to Season 3 of Comic Book Nation, the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw. And with me today, I have my regular co-host, Matthew Aguilar.
What up?
Janelle Wheeler.
Hello, hello.
And joining us today to sit in the fires that we are about to start is one of our Marvel experts on the Comicbook.com team. Mr. Adam Barnhart is with us again.
Thanks for having me.
And first, before we get started, just some show-keeping notes. So last week, we did our big crossover episode with our Phase Zero sister podcast based on Jim Viscardi's recommendations of Disney Plus Day, which, kind of sold us up the river. But,
Unintentional, though.
I know, unintentional, but that experiment turned out well. Viewership numbers. Jim, doing good on that. But I thought it was some interesting feedback because it was the first time I think people of the whole comic book universe got to hear both shows.
Jim's comments.
Got to hear both shows, both Comic Book Nation and our sister show, our Marvel podcast, Phase Zero, back to back. And so I got all this interesting feedback of people, just kind of really dedicated fans being like, hey, man, it was crazy to listen to both shows and to kind of hear both things and kind of hear both takes talking about Disney Plus Day. And so what it boiled down to is that Phase Zero, the best comment I think I got was Phase Zero is like the young hopefuls in the industry. While me, Matt, and Janelle are like these seasoned, cynical veterans of the industry. Like
I will take that because I feel like no. Like,
but you know the industry, and you're more cynical about the entertainment industry.
I'm cynical? How am I cynical?
Has anybody listened to this podcast for 3 seasons?
Okay, here's the thing.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm kind of like Obama, right?
Disguised at the new high school for a while. But then...
I'm kind of like Obama when like the gray hair, like you see it over the years, right? How like his hair kept getting grayer. Like I feel like I get more cynical as the show continues. Like every season, I'm a little bit more, but I'm still not. And as Jim pointed out, I did hang garland. It is Christmas time in this house.
Very festive.
It looks good, man. I'm slacking. I gotta get started on my Christmas cheer as well.
So props to Adam for the baby.
What?
In the background.
Oh,
dinosaur baby.
Oh, yeah.
Not the mama.
Dinosaur. Oh, my God.
That was spot on. Did you voice the baby?
Yeah, you did that a little too well. You're getting a meme out of this. You better be careful. Yeah, you're gonna get memed. But all right, so that was good. We're the cynical seasoned veterans. If you want the young hopefuls, that's Phase Zero. Jim, write this down for the branding department over there at the excellent Viacom CBS, because when we need to, market these things, this is what we gotta take these notes. But
I cannot believe that I'm that. That is like one of my biggest achievements.
One of us.
Right?
Achievement unlocked. Janelle Wheeler, achievement unlocked.
Wearing my Marvel hoodie. We got
hardened,
this.
cynical industry veteran. Here we go. So now that is a great segue to say everybody's really happy right now about the Spider-Man trailer because we got the trailer for SpiderMan No Way Home. I've seen the trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home like the rest of you, and I came away with a question. And this being Comic Book Nation, under our new branding directive, we got to ask the question, can this movie live up to the hype? So I've written about this. Adam is, like I said, one of our biggest Marvel experts on Comicbook.com. If you ever get a chance, read his stuff. It's excellent. It's thought-provoking, and, he points out a lot of good stuff. But
that's a good pull quote. Thought-provoking.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Twitter header, someone make that graphic, please.
Yeah, right. But I've written about how much, there's been this mystery over this film, right? All the rumors, all the mystery, all the buildup. And, seeing the trailer, I very much enjoyed the trailer. I didn't love it, like, need a whole premiere event for it, love it. But, like, that's neither here nor there. That's industry stuff. But I'm just wondering, like, maybe it's just me, so I'm going to go around the room and throw this out really quick. But can this actually deliver after all the hype and all the buildup and all the mystery and all the rumors and all the fan expectations? Even if we get like most of what we heard, will this still feel as satisfying of a film as it should be? Or do you think like this is going to be one where the hype was too much for any film to possibly fulfill? Adam, you're the guest who's an Marvel expert. Let's put you in the hot seat first. What do you think?
So I don't think this movie's going to have any problem achieving the hype, right? I think that's good. I think what comes after will be the problem, right? How do you get bigger than this, right? Sony saw Avengers Endgame and said, "Hey, let's do that with none of the buildup. Let's get that magic." And they pulled
That's a
off.
great way to put it.
They pulled out all the stops, right? I mean, what could be any bigger than getting every single Spider-Man ever, plus all the villains, right? Now we have to look forward to like Chameleon or something, right? Like, how does it get any bigger than
Facade?
Cardiac.
Go Facade and Cardiac. That's your next combo right there.
So I don't think, this movie's going to make so much money. And we're going to still get Spider-Man, but where's Spidey go from this? Are we getting, black suit symbiote Spidey or what? But I think this movie will do all right, but it's just what comes next that's going to be worrisome.
Let me just throw out a little thing for you just to follow up, Adam, because it's kind of relevant to what people are saying in the comments. This trailer, I mean, people have been dissecting this about how much intentional misleading and editing there is in this trailer. Do you think that they will use this? Because the rumors are they were going to have this big crossover. We've seen the Sinister Six villains from the other franchises. They've set up this premise that these guys know they're going to die in Spider-Man thing, which is a hilarious, I think, meta thing that's hanging over all of this about Sony and what Sony's chosen to do with this franchise up until now. Like murdering the villains in every movie, with which we all were in the 2000s. Like, I like this, but do they got to kill everybody? Like, and kind of referencing back to that whole thing. Do you think, we've also heard that obviously Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield will show up despite all the, I'm not doing it and all that stuff, that this is going to happen. Do you think, because people have seen in the trailer, like the scene where Doctor Strange knocks Peter's soul out and does that whole thing. There's people dissecting that, saying there's more web lines that are kind of grabbing that it's a fight the three Spider-Men are with, or the other two Spider-Men are with him on this, and like they're involved. Do you think they'll be in this movie more than just that finale? Kind of, we got, the tease at the end, like third act. Oh, they're all coming through, and it's Iron Man 3 all over again, where everybody and their mother shows up just to get like knocked out or blown up in 2 seconds in a massive fight. Like,
I mean, I hope so, but I don't know. I mean, we've seen the movies before. I'm not the biggest fan of any Spidey movies. I mean, Spider-Man 2, of course, but like Homecoming, I'm sorry. I could probably sell Homecoming. I'm sorry, everyone. But I don't know. There's that one theory that it's going to actually be Andrew's Spider-Man that pops up out of nowhere for his Cap Mjolnir moment while, saving MJ because he couldn't save Gwen Stacy or something like that. That feels more undeserved than anything. I mean, there's some plot lines, hopefully, that will get resolved. But then again, we would fall into the trap of, give Tom Holland his own Spider-Man movie after having Iron Man and after having Nick Fury and all that stuff. So what side of the equation does one fall on? Do you want plot resolution? Do you want Tom Holland to actually have his own damn movie? What do you want? So
we kissed that idea goodbye a long time ago.
Right.
What, the Tom Holland?
Yeah, the Tom Holland getting his own Spidey movie is,
I mean, that's kind of the thing I also think about all this is like, we have it in the questions, like, where do you go from here? I think Adam brought it up. Like, I think this is going to be harder for people because I think Tom Holland's first death scene was just a teaser for his real death scene, which is going to be like, I'm taking out my whole universe. Like, I'm done with this because this kid, I mean, the feel has been out there. He said he doesn't want to be Spider-Man in the next decade of his life still, He wants to kind of obviously move on and grow as an actor and do more things. And he's been just jumping around in this universe, pushing himself to basically be a supporting character in his own movie series. Like, who wouldn't want to maybe just move on from that? Because you can't go back to just character focused, right? Like Adam said, we got to get bigger, crazier, better, whole Spider-Verse after this. So I think this could be a fold on Holland's whole Spider-Man, corner of that universe gets folded out of all this because, so I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be the best thing because I feel like this could go Iron Man 2 or Amazing Spider-Man 2 on us all over again.
God, don't bring those up. Jeez.
This is less of them. I mean, Marvel Studios tried to put some feeling into this, but this is really about the end of the deal of them propping up Sony's crazy idea for their Sony Spider-Man universe gig, right?
I think Adam put it best that like I actually hadn't heard that comparison, and I think that's the best one I've heard yet of like this really is their kind of Spider-Verse Endgame. I have plenty of thoughts on this, but I want to hear from Janelle. Because I want to hear what she has to think, because I feel like Janelle is the most optimistic of us. of this curmudgeonly crew.
I just feel like we're beating a dead horse. We're just talking and talking in circles about hypotheses and what we think could happen. And I'm just like, I'm so tired of talking. I'm so tired of watching the same. I am sick of it. So I can't even imagine what like casual, like super casual viewers are thinking of this whole hoopla thing, because I'm honestly just like over it. I just want to see the movie and be done with it. Like seriously, if Strange wasn't in this film, I would just kind of be like, all right, another Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man's not my favorite. But I think Tom Holland, you're right, we've talked about a million times, deserves his, have more screen time to have his own story told. I don't know. I wish that we had some kind of origin story with him. They've only referenced his bite twice now, once in this, and then like with Ned a while back. And we don't really have like a really big origin with that. And then like I don't even the MJ connection, like I don't even feel like they've really focused on that. Like I don't feel really invested in their relationship. And now they're throwing a bunch of Spider-Man, maybe, and all these villains.
Kind of proving my point here,
Yeah.
which is like, can this thing deliver? Like, there's so much this movie has to do.
Yeah.
Can it do any of it really effectively and pull it off and be a satisfying experience? I know the hype will get people into the theater and into the seats.
Yeah,
what I'm thinking about is, will it deliver like on that hype? Maybe we should have titled this differently.
Gosh, it would have if they didn't have to do all those delays. Like I feel like it would have been amazing, but now it's like I kind of feel bad for the studio and like just everything. It's kind of just it's really hard to live up to this hype at this point. That's the only thing that's the only tweet I put up about the trailer releasing. I was like, I hope this thing lives up to the hype, because I didn't know what else to say.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Thank you for agreeing with me. It took a roundabout way, but thank you for agreeing with me.
I agree, but I agree with her wholeheartedly too. Like I agree with that premise of that. I'm actually so like, when Kofi was like talking about all the things, right? Like people think there's extra web lines, and I'm sick of that. I'm sick of that. Like I don't care. Like I don't care why he's doing it. I don't care. Like the other thing, like I'm just so over the just like constant, oh my God, what if? Like this is really like what if the movie, right? Like it's all just that. And I'm tired of that. I just want to see the damn thing.
Yeah.
And I also feel like, like a lot of this stuff that I'm seeing is cool. I'm excited to see John Cena, punch Lizard or whatever, right? Like I'm excited to see that. That was a great reference to that fan art. And nothing. That's a great reference to that fan art. Nothing. But like I'm excited for to see the 3 Spider-Man or 2.5 or whatever.
You're gonna be excited if it's just 2, really?
I would be very disappointed.
I'm not gonna lie to you. After seeing so many times in clips of Andrew Garfield being asked about this, I'm kind of rooting for him not to be in it.
I know. I feel bad for him.
Kind of want him to be able to give a middle finger to everybody and go, I told you. I freaking told you I wasn't in it. Stop asking me the stupid question and move on.
I wrote a piece on Comicbook.com that was people were very quiet about this in responses, which sometimes tells me more than actual comments. But because one section of us was like, yeah, who is this fun for? Like, who is this mystery really fun for? Is it fun for all the people who want to now jump out a window over fan theories that they can't stomach anymore? Is it fun for the talent, from people like Kirsten Dunst to Emma Stone to Andrew Garfield to Tom Holland to everybody having to go now an extra year dealing with this? Like, who is this all fun for?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anymore. I don't know. Maybe I spent too much time on lockdown, but or maybe this is just the cynical show of industry veterans, as pointed out. Comic Book Nation. But
we didn't really do anything to dispel that theory.
I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna be so happy to see it. I think it looks beautiful, but I'm tired of hearing about it leading up.
Agreed. That's where I am too.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, the good news is we won't have to do this much longer, because in 4 short weeks, we will all know where we stand. And I might be back. And if you just see me back on this opening the show, eating a bag of chips or something like that, you know, That's my validation face, okay? Like, I try to help people out and prepare people. But all
All
right.
right, now you know.
Adam, we had you on for this segment. You want to have any final thoughts or anything you want to plug about what you're going to be writing Spider-Man related?
You know, I
There's
mean,
a special part of this that I know you're real excited for.
Oh,
but,
I know. And I was just going to say, I think my opinion on the whole movie hinges on Daredevil. So that's like invalid anyways. So it's either the best movie ever or the worst movie ever. So we'll
I mean, in some weird ways, seeing Daredevil will be in this Spider-Man movie will be more exciting than all the Spider-Man stuff. Like,
I mean, everyone wants to see Spidey and Daredevil on the same screen, right? And we can finally get
I kind of
that
agree
after.
with that.
Yeah,
I think that will be the biggest talking point out of that movie if that actually happens.
But I've already gone on so many rants, including on Phase Zero, about the Daredevil list trailer. So I'm all Charlie Coxed out. So sorry, Charlie.
Oh,
yeah, thanks for having me on. I love talking Spider-Man. And we do have some Eternals exclusive behind the scenes stuff coming to Comicbook.com.
There you go.
So after you listen to this,
we got Marvel peoples. There you go. Boom. Eternals exclusives. Check comicbook.com, Marvel. And as always, we have a whole Marvel podcast where you can find Adam and a whole bunch of our Marvel obsessed staff. You know, we try to be a little bit more spread out in our variety over here on the Cynical Show, but you know how it is. You guys have fun. All right. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife, what's going on in WWE, some exciting new comics, and a bunch of the other variety we got to sweep up in this catch-all show. So be back with us, Comic Book Nation, in a minute. This is Comic Book Nation, the official podcast of Comicbook.com, and we are back from break. If you missed our first segment, we just went in about Spider-Man, and there's some emotions built into this whole Spider-Man release. We got a lot riding on this, man. Okay, so we'll be back to talk about that when it happens, or if anything more gets confirmed, or, you know, all the fun stuff we can talk about official. So moving right along, today's show, we are going to be dipping in. Oh, Matt. We're going to talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife, but on the other kind of spooky side of things, Matt is really excited about something that's going down on HBO Max. So why don't you do your plug? Because I love to push your agenda on this show.
Wait, no, I'm not. I put it in here because it was big news. I don't care about Harry Potter.
I'm very excited.
Janelle,
Matt,
bring some light to this.
I did what I'm supposed to do.
No, Jay, you take it away. You bring some light to this. What's going down? Tell the
Harry
people.
Potter's coming back, baby. We get to have a beautiful reunion special, I guess, an anniversary special. It's the 20th anniversary, and it's going to be a return to Hogwarts.
Right.
It's going to be on HBO Max January 1st, I believe. And it's going to reunite a bunch of the stars from the movies. And I'm really excited about this. But the question that Matt put in the notes here is, would we rather have had a cursed child? Is it cursed child? Cursed child movie?
I think it's cursed. Yeah.
I think it's cursed.
Your guess is as good as mine.
So, okay, let's just talk about the reality of what we're signing up for here. So what we're playing is a very advanced, worldwide spanning game of Hot or Not 2022 edition, right? And how uncomfortable are we about it? Because, we're going to be seeing, like, how hot Neville Longbottom got, and everybody's going to be like, I don't know how comfortable I am with all of this.
That's great.
Time to tap out. And that's what, and we're going to be like, oh, that one didn't come out so well. Now I'm still uncomfortable about all this. So
Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Out of
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah.
things, that's what you picked up. Yeah, I'm excited. And when I say I don't care about Harry Potter, I don't mean like it's terrible. I'm just saying like I'm not the biggest Harry Potter person. I don't know a ton of people's names outside of like the main cast. Okay, but I do find it interesting that like it's one of those things where I know fans of a franchise, especially ones that are as dedicated as Harry Potter fans, or will like love the idea of having as much of the original cast together in one thing. Because we look at the Friends reunion, right? That did bonkers numbers. It was really well received.
Facts.
I assume it got a lot of new subscribers to HBO Max. So like this will do similar things. I feel like this will be well received. It's just one of those things where people have been talking about, well, do we want to see another movie with that original cast? And you know, that
Both.
play.
You're never gonna get that.
Both would be great.
But that's what you're going to hear, right? We were just talking about fandoms and like the ideas, right? So like it goes from here, you know, right after this is done, we then get a bunch of things like, well, could we see they had great chemistry still? Could we see the movie? Like, you know, it's the conversation's going to go there. So I was curious to be like, is this going to be enough for the fandom?
I wish it was coming out during the holidays instead of after, just because not everybody, but a lot of people enjoy Harry Potter. They like watching it again during the holidays. It always goes on like there's all these cable networks that air it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would just be really cool. Like the timing would be a little bit better. But other than that, yeah, I think you're definitely going to have a lot of people wanting more. I want more. I absolutely want both. And I'm really excited about this. I'll probably drink some wine and put on my Slytherin robe and have my beautiful little wand and
nice.
Just
I love that you have that in
totally
reach.
Stoked.
Just
I
in
do.
Reach.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she didn't even have to.
Yeah, I know. Not like let me come back in a second.
I also have a sonic screwdriver.
Well done.
Wow, well armed. I just want them to make a good Fantastic Beasts movie. That's my expectations for the franchise right now. That's it.
Janelle, I have mine in reach too. Just
let's make it go. What house are you, Richard?
The producer flex.
Gryffindor.
You're Gryffindor. Love
this
it.
is Harry's. Oh, you can't see.
Well,
Harry's.
As you can see, we brought on Connor Casey.
Excited for it too.
I'm
out of here.
Yeah, this is all going off the rails. We brought in Connor Casey. We're going to talk wrestling in a second, but first, we'll just rearrange things real quick. But let me just get this Ghostbusters Afterlife thing out. So Harry Potter coming to HBO Max reunion special. Everybody excited. Janelle really excited. Has wand in reach in case you want to know. So don't try no magical stuff. You might get blasted. All right. Now, Ghostbusters Afterlife is out in theaters today. I seen it. I will tell you about it. And I will tell you that it is a movie that has very much an Amblin Entertainment feel. Like it has an Amblin 80s feel to it. And it's a good thing. It's done by Jason Reitman, who's done like Juno, Up in the Air, Young Adult, a bunch of stuff. Son of Ivan Reitman, who did the original Ghostbusters. So it's a very much an Amblin Entertainment feel take on Ghostbusters using this young cast. And at the same time, it is very much also a love letter from a son to his father, and very much contains that sentimentality of Jason Reitman saying something to his father, his late father, Ivan Reitman, through this movie. And by the time you get to the end, that is, just very apparent. In no pun, but in the kind of the way it unfolds. And I think that the personal nature of it is both the movie's greatest heart and greatest weakness in a way, because it kind of interferes. It creates a cross purpose. You're trying to create a Ghostbusters movie that kind of brings back the feel of Ghostbusters. You're trying to create this Amblin Entertainment thing that can use the kids as the protagonists. And you're trying to do this very personal kind of father-son, personal work. And that sometimes it kind of trips itself up in certain places, trying to serve all those purposes. But the main cast, the young cast, is actually really good. Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, we know, and McKenna Grace, who's been in a bunch of horror movies, who really does carry this movie as Phoebe, her name is they're both really good. Paul Rudd can anchor things down because he's Paul Rudd. So the cast is actually really kind of funny and really talented. And like I said, the Amblin part of it all, like you're watching Goonies and stuff like that, is really kind of entertaining and feels like those movies in the best kind of way. And when you get into some of the early Ghostbusting stuff and watching the kids kind of embrace that, that's a lot of fun. It's in the third act where things get a little harder to hold together. And I'm not going to drop any major spoilers or anything like that, because I know there are tons of Ghostbusters fans. There was one man who, he went full bore by himself in this screening last night with the costume and his working proton pack and everything. So no spoilers here. But like I said, trying to serve the dual masters of, once you get the kids established, take that off the board, of trying to make something that honors Ghostbusters, the original franchise vision of it, but also do this love letter to Ivan Reitman. It gets kind of tripped up. But overall, I think it is a solid franchise kind of kickoff. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know which one I would rather see continue if I had to pick one, this or the mid-2000s reboot. If I had to give one another shot, I don't know which one I would necessarily pick at the moment.
Ooh, spicy.
Yes, spicy. But
you've made me want to see it more. I was already hyped for this because
yeah.
But
and like I said,
that duality of like the father-son story being what it seems like anyway, from what you're saying, as important as the kind of coming of age stuff, makes me like, that actually hooks me more. Like I'm actually even more excited to see more of that, because I thought that would be a part in it, but I didn't know how big that would be or how much of a focus.
Oh, it's a major part. Like, yeah,
that's awesome.
So yeah, the whole kind of who these people are and how they fit into the Ghostbusters mythos is a major part. And like, why haven't they been like as deep into it until now is also a major part of it. And it's good, but there's a lot of familiar, really fun stuff for fans, especially if you love the original film and are a diehard kind of focused on that part of the franchise and not the later stuff. So that's Ghostbusters Afterlife. Fun film, fun family film too. It'd be good if you take the whole family. So, you can check that out.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, that third act, man. Also, we didn't talk about this with Spider-Man, but there's a whole thing that's happening now in movies and TV show. My wife and I just started talking about this, and I wonder about No Way Home also, is just how you shoot these things. Because we're just in this age of movies where we're going to have and look at TV where we look back and be like, oh yeah, that was a COVID year where everything is shot in these weird ways, like Eternals at the end, where it's like whole spaceship here, but we're all just spread out. You know what I mean? Like, because we can't be close to each other and we got to do it this way. So there's a bit of that when you get to these big third acts, and it's funny to see because you can't turn your brain off to the fact that like in another year they would have probably shot this or done this or reshot this differently, but like it just seems like anyway. So Ghostbusters Afterlife, that's that. So let's go to wrestling since Connor's here and he's been sitting waiting patiently over there. People love you in the comments. You got
Tommy Wrestling. I saw that comment.
Yeah, you got your own intro. This is like your intro music. All you got to do is appear on screen. People are like, it's wrestling time. Remember that when you get your own podcast. So here, Connor, Casey, Matt, take us away. What's going on in the world of wrestling this week?
Well, my curmudgeon crew. Yes, I was listening to that first segment. I am back, and you know what that means. It's time for more WWE releases. This latest wave came last night. Matt was thankfully still on, so he took care of it for us. But it was 8 wrestlers this time around. The names are in order. John Morrison, all 3 members of Hit Row, Tegan Knox, Drake Maverick, Shane Thorne, and Jackson Riker. The 2 big obvious standouts in this one were John Morrison. This is his second run with the company. Many assumed after his first and after he went out and worked for a variety of different promotions that he would come back and get a better shake this time. That did not happen. He went back to doing exactly what he was doing before, and that was screwing around with The Miz on TV. Then there's Hit Row, who was this very popular rap wrestling group. And I mean that very literally, Kofi. Like, these guys did freestyles on their way to the ring. And it's fantastic stuff. And very popular. Down in NXT, people looked at this group and thought, man, this is a slam dunk if there ever was one. Merchandising alone, this is fantastic. And
they had one of the best entrance themes.
And one of their members is a guy in his real name is Shane Strickland. That's his better known wrestling name. He went by Swerve Scott in WWE. That guy, I had him circled as a world champion years ago, and WWE did not know what they had with him for the vast majority of the time he was under contract. It only seemed like in those last few months with Hit Row that they went, oh, hey, this guy is like a transcendent talent. Maybe we should use that. But no, he is the latest in the budget cuts. There's been a lot of reactions. You've probably seen John Cena endorse Drake Maverick after his release. He put out a fantastic video promo, basically him arguing with himself about how this was never really the dream and how he's got plenty left in the tank to do elsewhere. So I'm very excited to see what he does next. Like I said 2 weeks ago when we had the latest round of releases, this absolutely sucks. Most of these people are going to find plenty of opportunities elsewhere. And it once again just reaffirms that it is really hard to get invested in a product when at any given moment, people you see on TV can be gone the next day.
Yeah. And just after signing new deals, Hit Row just signed new deals. BFAB signed a new deal and was literally, 7 days later?
Mm-hmm. And she was in the last round of cuts.
In the last round of releases. So they already cut the group down by one. And then they give them 5 minutes total, probably, of screen time over the last 2-3 weeks. And then just go, nope. And it's just, it's sometimes it gets really hard to enjoy WWE because there are a lot of people still there that I love watching. And there are a lot of people I'm a huge Tegan Knox fan. That's such a bummer. She's come back from 3 ACL injuries. And time again, it's every time she was right there, it was something would happen. And she works her way back and gets brought up to the main roster. And then she gets into a tag team. They break up the tag team when in the draft. And then she's on Raw. And she even been on Raw?
She's never wrestled on Raw.
Yeah.
Nope, not once.
And then and she's gone. You're just what the hell? Drake Maverick, it was such a big deal because Drake Maverick, after he was released previously. And he released a very just emotional, personal video on Twitter, and people really responded to it. He was then brought back into NXT and then got a run there. Mm-hmm. So then he releases this video. It starts out the same way, but then it transitions and he's talking to himself. It's really great. If you've ever been knocked down, whether it's from a job or anything in life, it's fantastic. You should really watch it. It's very personal. It's very real. His whole thing was I have a dream to be a professional wrestler, not a WWE superstar. It's excellent.
But I get up again because
you're never going to keep you down.
Yes. Oh my God, really? Yes, very, very good. Also, Top Dollar, who is part of Hit Row, just released actually a new track, and it was just talking about how he's got 89 days left on his non-compete clause and he's got to come back again. They're really responding. There's a lot of really great messages on social media from this. It's just
Connor
crap that we have to keep doing this.
Chris Killian has snuck into our DMs and he is asking, or he's not asking, he says we cannot convince him that WWE is not trying to position themselves to be sold. Connor, theories.
It is very hard to argue against that, especially if you look at the overwhelming number of people that have been released, not just in front of the camera, but behind it. We keep hearing about office employees and corporate employees being let go, many of whom people thought they were lifers.
Yeah.
And here they are going on their way out the door. As for a sale, people will throw around names like Disney or other major media companies, NBC, Universal. There's been no confirmation that there have even been talks about it, but this does feel like we're at least preparing for it. Funny thing about when a few $1 billion gets passed around, it tends to make a little bit of noise. And I haven't seen any business insiders going, yep, they're talking to Disney and they're talking about selling the whole dang thing to NBC or Fox. Nothing like that yet. If they are selling, which is entirely possible, Vince is in his late 70s and Maybe he just wants to sell the thing off instead of passing it down to the rest of his family. Who knows? If it does happen, it's still going to be a couple years away.
Yeah.
But this feels like we're at least laying the foundation for it.
Yeah, even just from their TV contracts. I mean, they have, that's the thing with WWE, right? They have contracts with all of those companies, almost all those companies you name. I mean, and because their programming is on all of these different platforms, that would at least, for the most part, depending on if they sold to one of them, like it would make it very messy. But I agree with you. I think they are scaling back. But this is also, we've talked about this before. This is ramifications from what they did before. Like they went on they had a plan to essentially take over independent wrestling. And then, as they are wont to do, went, meh, threw it all down the chute. And then they were left with a bunch of signed talent and nowhere to put them. And, that was, again, they have a ton of TV. So I'm not saying they couldn't have put them on there, but they ended up with a surplus, right? And they've been hoarding them forever. Like, there's a lot of things that go into this. I don't think it's just sale, but I also could see them doing it.
I want to respond to a commenter, Norin is rad, by saying we would welcome WWE at the excellent Viacom CBS, a mountain of entertainment that WWE would simply be another fine peak of. So,
Matt, do we want to hit 2K22 now, or do we want to
go for it now?
Survivor
Go all in, guys. It's your wrestling segment. Nail it.
Matt, what'd you think of the new trailer that dropped yesterday? If you haven't seen it yet, they announced.
Wait. I got to stop you. I almost never interrupt wrestling segments for anything, but you got to set context here. You have to warn people before you talk to Matt about any wrestling video game.
Here he goes. Yes. Because Kofi has a thing where he points out things that I am proud of. Thinks that there's something to dismiss. I stand by my review. 110% of 2K20. Check it out on Comicbook.com. I have no problem backing up my words.
I backed you. If you go back and listen, I had your back for your opinion. I just said it's important to set context.
Right.
That our reviewer tends to enjoy games like 2K20 and Marvel's Avengers that other people may not stump for, but he enjoys.
But if you go and read those reviews, all of the issues that people had issues with, I talk about those. You were more than welcome to go check all that coverage out. I never have a problem sharing my mind. It is what it is.
Just keep in mind you're defending a game that lost WWE money and was so bad that they had to take a break.
Defending a game is not what I do, though. I back my opinion. My opinion on it was that the copy I played, I cannot comment. And I don't know how many times I got to say this. My job is not to agree with everybody else. That is not my job. My job is also not to comment on everybody else's experience with something. My job is to comment on mine. So if someone else has a different experience with it, I understand completely, but that's not my job. I could care less about popularity or about the mob.
I'm sorry. I feel like I have derailed us and spiraled us.
Kofi did. But I have no issue with it.
Between you, Kofi, between you and Chris in the comments, just the pot just keeps getting stirred right now. Matt is all fired up.
By the way, here's the thing, because Chris brings this up in the comments. There is revisionist history going on. 2K19 is also not a masterpiece, Chris. So get that trash out of here. That is not the case. The 2K series has not put out a masterpiece in a very long time.
Where do we fall now, boys?
Put that down. So he called me out.
This looks from Matt, just my initial reaction. This looks promising. I love that GM mode is back because that's a mode that people have been asking for years. Correct me if I'm wrong. We haven't seen it since the SmackDown vs. Raw days, and that's what people go back to those games to play it.
Well,
the graphics look great. Edge actually looks like Edge for the first time, maybe ever.
Yeah, no,
even in the trailer there were a couple of that looks a little janky. Drew comes to mind with a couple of screenshots. I like that there's at least a story mode this time.
There was last time.
Yeah, but
it's the same mode, Connor.
Okay.
It's literally the same mode. They just combined it with another one. Like My Rise is exactly what the story mode was last time. The story mode got knocked down, and you can also see this in my review, for its crap graphics. That was always the issue. But like,
And the hilarious cutscenes of giving
right, but
someone's
like there
grandmother
was
bed
a
sores.
full on story mode, and some of those cutscenes, by the way, I didn't hate that story mode as much as other people did. A lot of the problems came in when you actually had the random superstars show up in the story. And it was like, why is X-Pac talking to me in the middle of a, like, it was very odd the way they placed them. And that dialogue tended to be very stilted. The dialogue between the two main characters was decent in times. So again, they're just pairing that. They've reworked that. They've reworked the control scheme. Again, I haven't had hands-on with it yet, but the control scheme could solve some problems that were
Is there
that,
a
like,
releases
issues.
mode?
Is there a what?
Releases mode.
I shared there was a tweet in the Slack channel that I shared because someone actually did a graphic of like WWE releases. Here's the thing. I actually do feel bad that I'm not going to get derailed by Chris because I keep seeing the comments. I'm not going to keep going there. I do see it in the game that like there are GM mode is a huge thing. That's a huge thing. You can actually do the draft now. You can actually do the WWE draft. Gameplay looks to have been like the graphics themselves look better, but we'll also see, because as every year, and you can go back to see slideshows of every year, it is a mixed bag. It always is. There are always people who look spot on. Goldberg looks really good this year. And then there's going to be people you're like, who is that? I don't know who that is. It happens every single year. It is just kind of, they always put the people that look the best in all the marketing up front, and then you find out who everybody else looks like later. So it looks promising. Again, no hands-on still, but the modes list, I also actually was very happy to see that, unlike NBA 2K22 and pretty much the last couple of releases in that series, that the VC is not going to be, at least from what they are saying, as extensive. It is just relegated to one mode instead of being everywhere. We're not going to have a bunch of microcurrencies going around in that game to buy things, and the stuff you can buy, you can unlock otherwise. So like, there is promising things here, but we will see. I'm just happy because Bailey's in it.
Well, there you go.
See what happens when Chris Killian gets a YouTube alert.
I know, right? Now let's also talk Survivor Series, because it is this Sunday, Matthew. And to be frank, the build hasn't been great. If you don't follow along, they basically center this show around the battle for brand supremacy between Raw and SmackDown, even though a lot of the wrestlers defending Raw were on SmackDown about a month ago. It's hard to get behind some of that stuff. At least some of the matches look promising. Big E versus Roman Reigns in the main event looks great. Charlotte and Becky Lynch have seemingly taken some possibly real-life animosity and transferred it over to television. There's a lot of stars in the two 10-man tag matches. Matt, does anything about this show jump off the page to you?
Roman versus Big E should be good. And here's the thing we say with it, this is one of the best examples of what we talk about with, it feels like half of the WWE pay-per-views. The build has been crap.
Yes.
The pay-per-view itself will probably be great, because half the people on this card are great wrestlers, and they will probably have great matches together. Big E versus Roman Reigns, Becky versus Charlotte. Those are going to be great matches. Even the SmackDown versus Raw men's and women's teams are loaded with talent. I'm very happy that Toni Storm is now a part of the SmackDown team, and you have Shotzi and you have Sasha Banks. Like, there's a lot of great talent on there. And similarly on Raw, like, there's a lot of good stuff here. So I feel like we'll be coming away with like, oh, these were some really good matches. But if I had to call out one build that like stuck out to me, I mean, maybe Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville, because like the whole thing that her machinations are behind the reason why Toni Storm's on the team, the Naomi Aaliyah thing. I think honestly, if you look at like story beat for story beat, that and Roman Reigns and King Woods, because that's why Big E's going to be very mad at him, right? Like, those stories are the things that really you would care about if you've been watching the shows. But other than that, there's not really a ton of story here. I think the Becky Lynch Charlotte has been so good just because there is that real life animosity between those two. And they've been giving great promos, but they're always good in the ring together. They've done this before, right? Like, this is not the first time we've seen Becky Lynch and Charlotte together in a match, so they're going to be great.
Couldn't agree more. The other thing you kind of have to keep an eye on is this is the 25th anniversary of The Rock's WWE debut. It's at the Barclays Center. He may or may not be on the other side of the world right now filming Young Rock. I can't seem to get a straight answer on that one. So we might get some sort of appearance from him. And if we do, Matt, do we get even the slightest tease of a Roman feud? The thing that everyone seems to be asking both of them forever. It's the Andrew Garfield question, right?
Way to bring it full circle.
It's kind of the same thing.
If he shows, and by the way, I don't think he actually shows, but if we actually get
a video
appearance,
package.
it's a video. Yeah, it's something, right? He's promoting his 1900 movies. So if he shows, it's a video. And if we get a video, though, I do think some subtle little fun shot. Yes. Because otherwise, why does he come? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see, other than just getting that momentary pop, I don't think Rock comes, like, just from Rock's perspective, I don't think he comes back for that. It would have to be a Cena thing where you're like, I'm going to come back for a small little thing at a time, but it's going to mean something. Like, I need to do something with it at this point in his career. So if you're going to do that, yeah, I think you build to Roman. But I don't know.
Jim's down in the comments. I don't think Rock's coming down to save Roman. That just doesn't seem like
they did that last time and it went horribly.
Yeah, way back when. Yeah, that
Rock got booed.
And remember, there's that famous photo of him holding up Roman's hand. He's kind of looking around like, "What's this reaction I'm hearing right now? This is new."
Rock doesn't get booed unless he wants to get booed, and he got booed during that thing. So yeah, I don't think he comes to give another rub. I think they're going at each other, which is honestly the best rub he can give.
Wow.
And I did not say the word I was going to say afterwards because phrasing.
Brother, that was still phrasing. I don't know if what you heard.
No. It could have been worse.
You'll see.
Trust me. It could have been worse.
Kofi, it's so much worse. They're talking about big meaty men slapping meat down in the comments.
I saw that one in the comments. I didn't bring that up.
The phrasing cannot be escaped. And obviously, you've not seen Big E's famous promo where he campaigns for a Goldberg match using that exact expression. Yeah. we have broken the host.
I'm unzipped.
Wrestling.
I've been unzipped. My goodness. Is there any more to wrestling you guys want to add?
That is all there is, and I will bid you all adieu. Thanks for having me on,
Connor
guys.
pops in, drops the knowledge, pops out. That's how we do. Comicbook.com. All right, guys. So we're still here. Matt, before we move on to comics, I think we got time just to talk. You wanted to talk about multiverses, and this is interesting. So let's get into this just real quick, and then we're going to move on to comics.
Yeah. So this has been one of the worst kept secrets in gaming for a minute. So Multiverses is the Warner Brothers. I mean, honestly, it's like Smash Brothers. It's DC WB Smash Brothers. It's all of their characters. The roster screen was leaked ahead of time. There was just a lot of bad. So they finally revealed it. It's got Shaggy from Scooby-Doo taking on Game of Thrones character. I know Jack about Game of Thrones. So
What?
I don't know who it is. I've said that.
It's Arya Stark.
Thank
If
you.
anybody is on Glass Stealing, we still have our post for a show host who has seen all the major things.
It has Superman, it has Wonder Woman, Batman, and they're going all out in this too because they actually, what I respect is they didn't just get the characters, which would
And
be
it's
good enough.
Arya Stark.
But they
House
actually
Stark.
got like a lot of the voice actors, and I don't know if this is that way for Arya. I didn't actually see her because they did like a slow reveal of like who would be voicing people. But like Kevin Conroy's back as Batman, like
Whoa.
Matthew Lillard is Shaggy. Like they actually went all out. Tom and Jerry are in this game, and I am stoked because Tom is a mage. Of course, he's a freaking mage. Why
Our
would
buddy
he be a
Half
mage?
Sen Josh confirms that Maisie Williams of Game of Thrones will be voicing Arya.
Thank you, Hassan Josh. So it looks really fun, and I just love like we've talked about when we talked about Space Jam, we talked about like IP coming together, and like some people hated that like all those different characters were there. That was part of the fun of it for me, was that they were all in one place and they were having fun with their library. So I'm game for this. We've seen a bunch of people come into this space though, and no one ever seems to be able to stick around. Like the closest is like Brawlhalla, of like a fun Smash Brothers style game that is not Nintendo and it sticks around. Like most of them have tried and they just never feel as
Def
good.
Jam, King of New York.
I'm hoping this one, yeah, but that doesn't feel like Smash.
I know, I'm just kidding.
So like, I love that game though, but like this one, I'm hoping sticks because it has the backing of somebody. PlayStation All Stars was supposed to be that, and it didn't. So I'm hoping for this one.
It's crazy that nobody can create another Smash Brothers. It's weird. Oh man! All right, so that is happening in gaming. You have a lot more stuff. We are not.
Yeah, we don't have time for it. Wrestling.
We're gonna move over to comics.
That's Kofi's fault.
How is that my fault? Oh, I did start.
You started.
I might have started some stuff. I've had a couple days off this week, man. I got time to get back to my instigating ways. It's good to recenter, you know. So comics. Let's talk comics this week. We had a good variety. You had some quick comic news you want to make people aware of?
Yeah, we can skip that. I'll go through that next time.
I mean, Dark Horse partnering with Star Wars is pretty big news.
It's a pretty big deal. I mean, look, Marvel got the license for all the Star Wars stuff, and people, longtime Star Wars comics people, including me, because I really loved some of the Dark Horse stuff, were bummed. Now they've entered into a new agreement. Again, this does not mean that Marvel's Star Wars comics are stopping. It's just an addition to. But they're going to be doing an all age. Yeah, they're going to be doing all-age Star Wars comics, a lot like IDW Publishing has done. They have everything open to them. So from the press release, they can be in any era, any time. Like they have a very much an open policy on that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Dark Horse has some great talent.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys don't know, if you're like a new age comic fan, I mean, in the 90s, like Dark Horse was that thing, and oh, I gotta be careful. I know some stuff about. Oh man, I know some stuff about Dark Horse. I gotta be really careful right now. Yeah. Sometimes I forget. I too am cursed by knowledge, Stark. But they're trying to. Dark Horse is making some moves behind the scenes, and I know a few things that they're trying to do. But they were the guys that were smart, and it's funny because it makes their business very good and now very hard in this era because they were the ones who, before anybody thought about like franchise universes and all that, went around and bought up all the licensing to like all those different brands, to like Star Wars, RoboCop, Terminator, Buffy, like all that stuff, and they made real universes out of this stuff.
And they were great, by the way.
Yeah, and people were like really hardcore then. Now everybody eventually was like, "Oh, we can make money off this too," and then like came back and took back their toys, and now Dark Horse is trying to figure out its way in this new
Alien, Predator.
Everybody wants to own their own IP universes, so so it's kind of funny, but yeah. I know some more stuff, but I can't speak.
Oh boy!
I don't Brandon Davis on here, not often, but I do know some stuff about some stuff.
But that's good. I'm all for that, and I can't even hate Marvel's Star Wars stuff. Has been great. I've really enjoyed it. I don't want that 10. So I actually saw this and went, "Oh no! Does that mean like we're not going to get any more Dr. Aphra? We're not getting more?" And it was like, "Oh yay! Okay, so we get in addition to." It's honestly a win-win across the board. And then also real quick, this will bum Janelle out. Marvel.
I'm so mad.
A new Sorcerer Supreme will be coming after Death of Doctor Strange. Now, the title, of course, is something that Marvel has played with a lot, like Death of and stuff, but that doesn't always mean they're actually going to kill the person or whatever. But in this case, it seems that while Strange probably is not going to die, I imagine, we will get a new Sorcerer Supreme stepping in. We've had this before, but in this case, it always boggles my mind when Marvel does this stuff. It's like, hey, there are more fans of this character than ever. Let's completely change their status quo. And it's like they did the same thing with Scarlet Witch and Trial and everything. And like they just have this habit of like, we're just gonna rework them from the ground up. It's like, why? People like the character, just let them introduce them to the character, but like don't completely throw them into a new thing. Like just let them like what I don't know.
I think it's more of like they're like, the kid's person's popular now. Oh God, we need like another 12 years of IP to like fuel. Like we got to get in. Comics. It's for every 10 ideas, you got 3 that might be able to work as like a movie idea.
Yeah, and like the Iron Fist thing, like where they're changing Iron Fist, like that's cool, right? But that doesn't feel like it's a knee jerk reaction to that character got really popular. Like it just feels like that's something that they're working on and is interesting. Here it's just like Doctor Strange is huge and we're gonna have the sequel. And I just
Matt.
Yeah, I know that one was bad. All right, real quick, if we're going through comic news, I'm just gonna hit this one real quick because I'm excited. DC announces the Aquaman team up series. I'm all about Aquaman and that family, and they're all uniting in one book. Brandon Peterson, I'm down. All right, so let's move into comics.
Yes, please.
because we have a lot to talk about. So Nubia and the Amazons #2. I remember when we talked about it last time that we actually really took this series. There was a lot of really like a lot of new ground on the Mascara and the Amazons, kind of their history and all this stuff. And this issue continues that trend. Like we get an introduction to like a whole other area of the island and kind of what it's for. And it's just really interesting like character stuff. But then it kind of keeps building this lore. And it's honestly a lot of lore that like I didn't know was missing. Like until someone like pointed to like starts laying it out. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That's a really interesting idea. And we also get movement on like the villain, and we get to see like there's some really interesting things that happen in here. Yes. And so I'm continuing to just really love the Wonder Woman side of DC's universe lately, because they're doing some great work there. And this is, to me, continues that. What did you guys think?
This was my favorite of the books. Yeah, I really love this. For like, I just love the way that the women are portrayed, and it's a diverse group of women with so many different like backgrounds, and I love that they kind of dive into the backstories or the memories that some of them contain of their life prior. That is so, I don't know, that's really interesting to me. And obviously like the villain is just super cool, because even if you're not, you know, I feel like everybody knows this villain. I'm not trying to spoil, but it's really cool. Like I thought this was very well done and beautiful as usual. It's just beautiful job of depicting women's bodies. Gorgeous women.
What is with you two today? Guys, I know what you guys need to do this weekend. Anyway, moving on.
What did you think, Kofi?
I think that Nubia is probably, while I think Yara Flor is still my favorite Wonder Woman character. First of all, I'm going to say that Wonder Woman universe right now is the strongest in DC outside of the Batman universe.
Yep.
I agree.
By far.
Yeah.
Second of all, Yara Flor is still my favorite single character.
I agree.
But Nubia is the strongest written of the Wonder Woman books. And I think it's a spot on perfect comic book that I'm just realizing listening to you guys actually is very cleverly doing. It's basically Lost redressed as a Wonder Woman story. And it's kind of what they're doing here. And they're stealing from Lost in the best way, because they're combining these different story elements, you know, this personal character journey of who this woman is trying to be in this new role she finds herself in. Like you said, the flashback memories, adding new context that deepen the mystery. And this book plays with dramatic irony really well, which is where we, the audience, know stuff that the characters don't. And that like shapes, you know, how we view things and makes it exciting. And yes, this ominous threat that's like slow moving through the populace and creeping ever closer in plain sight, while also this mystery about, you know, Doom's doorway and this larger threat that's taking shape. And this book balances all of those things wonderfully, and also making Nubia distinct. And you don't lose your central character, because her trying to be like the right kind of queen is very good. And you even get this little arc. These books feel like they do a lot in just one issue. Yeah. And like, I'm just beginning to remember all the layers of like, and how many people get stories in this book and how complete those stories feel for a single issue.
Right.
Yeah. Cause she also fought with her old friend in the whole warrior thing. Like, yeah. So yeah, I mean, this book is very rich and like Janelle said, and it does the best of really showing you how Amazons function in their society in a kind of modern, realistic way, with like that feels like these women are real and like their interactions are real. And even just small things, like we don't sensationalize when any two Amazons sleep together. It's like, yes, that's a logical part of all this. And, you know, there's just little comments about like, hey, where were you? I was alone in bed, and like, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and it all just feels like a very lived in, rich world where something big is happening, and there's still an immediate threat that's happening. So like, there's things to keep propelling you. So Nubia, don't sleep, and don't sleep on Wonder Girl either, because Yara Flor's book is also awesome. So great things.
I know me and Janelle are kind of like, I agree. But like, that is like across the board. I do feel like Wonder Woman is just, it's about damn time. It finally feels like it's this treated with respect world, and it's full, and we've been waiting for years for that to happen for the character, you know. But also I agree with what you said, because like, without going into like spoilers of, there's actually real stakes here, because you get attached to some of these people in a very short amount of time, and then when things happen to them, you're like, no, like you actually, there was a couple times in here I went, no, I like them. And like,
Yeah.
like, no. And it's amazing that this is just 2 issues, you know, they've done a lot of work and they make you care about these people that did not get spotlights in other books. So it's not like you have all this history. You really get to know these people in a really interesting and relatable way. So yeah, I love that. So moving over to Marvel, we got to talk about Moon Knight. Moon Knight, again, just like Jed McKay and Cappuccino are just killing this book.
Before we move on, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but before we move on, I also want to point out that Wonder Woman, this Nubia book, is like one comic I can think of in popular mainstream comics that literally has like no male characters whatsoever, and never even pops into my brain until I just like had to step back and think about it now, and I wasn't like, I wish there was a dude in here. Like it's just all female characters and really compelling, awesome stuff. So.
Man, you know, I didn't realize that till now.
Yeah.
There's like, I was like, oh man, that's true. Yeah, no, you don't need it.
No,
like,
it's all good.
It's fantastic. Yeah, good point. So now there are male characters in Moon Knight. So we're not moving to that same thing. But again, what this book has done really well is explore just through little revelations. You know, he's in therapy. You find out why, by the way, that he's in therapy, which you kind of assumed anyway, but like you find out why. And that's part of what I love about this, is that slowly but surely, like this book is addressing all the things that have come before in previous series and is finding new ways to spin them. And here is the biggest thing of like dealing with the Age of Khonshu stuff that happened in Avengers, right? Which I remember I did not like as much because I had such big high hype for that series, and it just didn't quite live up to that. But it's awesome to see McKay kind of work with that and find interesting things in there to continue to develop Mark. And there's this whole conversation about like him being why he wears the mask in therapy and like why he doesn't take it off. And you've only seen him take it off once in this whole series, which is with Tigra in that one moment. And again, like there's this great, he gives this great explanation. It's just so full of like, it's just so rich, and it deals with like the previous run from Max and like his kid, and like, oh, there's just so much there, and they're just talking. Like that's not even like the action stuff, which like comes in later. Like this book has just done a really good job of balancing that stuff and continually finding new things to explore in Mark's psyche. And we haven't even gotten all the other personalities yet. Like it's mind-boggling to me that we're still here. We're already at issue 5, and we really haven't seen Lockley. We haven't seen a ton of Spectre. We haven't seen, like, there's just so much there. So I came away just really happy with this book again. It's one of my favorites every month, beyond the fact that I just love Moon Knight. Like it's one of my favorite Marvel books. But what do you guys think?
Connecting this kind of back to entertainment. This is like, you know, there have been mob films all the time, and then one day you got The Sopranos, and this is like Moon Knight given The Sopranos treatment, like, and it actually works very kind of well. It's about this guy and kind of, you know, I think it's also kind of interesting to talk about up against the Nubia book, because we were talking about, you know, what Nubia has done with like, you know, putting female characters in the spotlight in a way that you don't even question or know it or think about it, but it is a sign of, you know, progress. And I think Moon Knight is a character who has been kind of weirdly fetishized for his mental illness and playing with things like dissociative personality disorder and all that. But now kind of in our new context, as society changes and our attitudes about mental illness change and how we view these things, like this is the first time I've seen an issue, and this very much is Sopranos, because it's Moon Knight doing crazy stuff plus him talking to his therapist, which is like an episode of Tony Soprano in a nutshell. But the writing for this and the character writing for this was pretty spectacular. And I was like, oh man, because I was like, you are hinging this all on a conversation with this therapist. And if this doesn't come to some kind of good point, like this is all going to suck. Like, but you get to this part at the end where he does kind of culminate and finally open up and come clean and about who he is. And it's weird to see Moon Knight dealing with everything from like Judaism to mental health to like, and just, or capitalism and all the things he's done in the name of money and like all that stuff, and faith, falling away from his faith because of the money. Like you don't expect to see these deep, you know, philosophical happenings in a Moon Knight book, which again, usually fetishizes this guy, his mental illness, and all the weird stuff you can do with the mysticism, the mental illness, and all that other stuff. This got deep, and it made me respect Moon Knight as a deeper, more complex character without all the gimmicks of having to have the personalities and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good first step to getting to Mark Spector first, and then we can begin to kind of flesh out who these personalities are and give them more. I know it was a terrible wording, but give these personalities more personality and distinction in who they are and why they are and all that stuff. So good stuff in this Moon Knight book.
Janelle, what you think?
It's a lot. I'm just gonna be really honest. Like, I didn't really get it. I was kind of like, what? This is boring. Like, I don't know what's happening. Seriously, I was not about it. And then I just listened to Kofi paint this like beautiful picture of like what I probably should have been understanding about the whole thing. And then I realized I kind of missed the point with Moonlight in the previous books. So I think that I'm going to go back and read it again with the context of knowing what Kofi said and, you know, the mental illness and all of that stuff, because I really don't know Moon Knight's backstory at all. So
after you do that, join me on this farm and compound and drink this Kool-Aid that I will serve you too. It is it's very tasty. And then we're all going to catch this rocket ship.
I will. And that's what I think that I'm looking forward to. Like you said, like the gimmicks, right? Like I feel like in the previous books, like I was just excited about the action. His costume's so cool. I love this like God aspect of like this Egyptian God, like all of that stuff was really cool. I think I missed the point of who he is with these multiple personalities and all of that. And so now it's up to me to kind of do the like deep dive to understand this character a little bit better.
No, yeah. It's a very interesting point. Yeah, absolutely.
I just realized we are running out of time.
Yes, we are. So we gotta run through this last one real quick. Wonder Woman Evolution was the poll book. Thank you guys very much. And this one this one deals with Diana. And it's a straight up story. I mean, if you've been reading some of the other Wonder Woman books over like the last 2 years, you will know who Vanessa is, Silver Swan, and kind of their story. So this kind of brings her back into the forefront. And there's a lot of like, you know, she was someone who really looked up to Diana because she was there for her in her time of need when like she couldn't walk. And then the things that like powers her now is the thing that was like able to let her walk, but Diana had other responsibilities. So like there's a lot of that as the kind of the centerpiece. And then we also bring in like this big thing towards the end that seems to kind of tie into where she was after death metal and kind of her new role in the universe, or at least it seems to suggest that. There's a lot going on here. I enjoyed this. It's not Nubia level, right? And it wasn't Moon Knight level because I just read really good books this week. But it's still like I still enjoyed it. It just didn't have all of those layers that I was looking for. What do you guys think?
We got to be really quick. I thought the story was just okay. Some of it felt like a rehash of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I hated the artwork. Like I couldn't stand it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I was into it. I thought it was cool. It was to me a quick read.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's about it.
That'll do it. That's it. Comic Book Nation. We got to get out of here because we are streaming now on Paramount Plus. So we got to keep this short to a certain time segment so we can actually stream on Paramount Plus. So check us out there Saturday night. CT Live will be part of that. Also, if you're into the show, follow us at Comic Book Nation on Twitter. Download us from your favorite podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And if you like the show, give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Otherwise, we will be back next week. And check us out then. This is Comic Book Nation, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Deuces.